Yeah, my friends, we're going to talk about Mars retrograde. Now, it is doing that from December 6th until February 23rd. However, I'm going to share my screen with you. And I want you to look at this chart. And this is the chart of when Mars begins its shadow phase. And it's not that the shadow phase has to be anything really bad or uncomfortable. It's just, I want you to pay attention to this is where it will retrograde back to when in the middle of its retrograde. It will come all the way back to 17 degrees of Cancer. So we'll go all the way forward to 6, Leo, and then back to 17 and turn direct again and then move forward again. So back and forth. I'll give you those dates in this forecast. And the written forecast, the blog has got a lot of details in it, edited very well. So you're able to go read that on the website, and it's in your inbox. If you're in my newsletter, you would have it in your inbox already. So the point with this is like, let's look at the energy of this. Mars in Cancer, it's been in there for a few weeks as of this date, October 5th. And all the way until we get to late in, well into the spring of next year, is that we're going to be experiencing Mars mostly in Cancer, a little bit of Leo, and whatnot. So what we want to do with that, I'm going to stop my share right there. We're going to talk about what it feels like, what it looks like, how we use it first off. So Mars retrograde in the sign of Cancer. Mars in Cancer already can be very volatile because we're feeling a lot of stress and fear around home, family, emotions, taking care of ourselves. This energy is really charged. And Mars wants to take action and it's very aggressive, but the Cancer energy is not that. It's emotional and it's nurturing and caring. And so what happens while Mars is in that sign moving forward, we see what we see. All you have to do is just turn the news on, just people or any of your social media, people really pissed off and really angry, and the emotions are running high. But another piece that you can see as well is people being very understanding, very caring, very nurturing, especially when we're thinking about the Hurricane Helene and how people are just, really going in on that and just doing everything they can to help people in families, right? And that's what we get with that. So that can stir up an awful lot of stress and uncomfortable energies within us. It really can. And that's why Mars is just not comfortable in this zodiac sign. It's always about just taking action, and the emotion wants to be felt, wants to be understood, wants to be heard. And so we feel really difficult with that. It feels difficult with that. So the last time that Mars was retrograde in Cancer, it was different numbers. This time it starts at 17 and goes to the end of Cancer. The last time it was retrograde was the early numbers. It was just the first single digits of Cancer. And it backed into Gemini back then. And that was November. So like November 15th, 2007 through January 30th, 2008. So go back, because astrology is about cycles and patterns. It's empirical. It just means that we see what happened when something was similar going on, and we know that we're going to have something similar happen now. So I haven't looked at the history of this. I guess I would be curious when I'm done, not for this piece, but what was going on in our country then, or whatever is the big focus for you. What was going on back in the end of 2007, first month of 2008? What was happening then? I want you to pay attention to that, because that was the last time Mars was retrograde in that sign. Mars does retrograde every 2 years, approximately every 23 months. So the internalizing of Mars is something we're accustomed to, meaning we feel energy go in. We're not able to express it outwardly as easily. So when Mars is in Cancer, Mars in Cancer during this retrograde, again, we become more sensitive, deeply emotional, the security, the caregiving, the nurturing. We need to take care of those things for ourselves. And when it's retrograde, hopefully you can find some time to start doing that. We want to retreat. We want to go in. We want to feel protected and safe. And if that's not what's happening for you, then the retrograde period is a time where it shouldn't be as discombobulated and as big as it is when the planet is direct. So we have this period of time to go within and spend some time, like really addressing what's important for you and how to how you're able to take care of yourself. Because if we don't spend time doing that, then this Cancer energy can be aggressive and assertive. And Cancer Mars, that's what Mars is, but Cancer doesn't want that. So you can see this is just difficult. This is like passive aggressive behavior, really feels uncomfortable, right? So we want to bottle things up, but things are coming to the surface. It's just like having a pot of pasta, right? I was talking about this earlier, having a pot of pasta on your stove and you're not paying attention to it. And you should be, and you should be paying attention to it. Is it boiling? Boiling represents our emotions coming to the top. And if the cover, the lid is on and it boils over and it makes a mess, I use pasta because that gets all sticky and starchy and messy, right? You don't want that to happen. We don't want that to happen emotionally. It's just a metaphor, but we don't want that to happen emotionally. So pay attention to where your fear or anger or emotions are starting to rise while we're doing, especially now during the retrograde. Once we get to it, and you'll have an opportunity to process that and not to feel as insecure as it does when it's just moving full steam ahead. Okay. I say full steam ahead. Mars is fire, Cancer is water, and that is fire to water creates steam. And this is emotions coming to the surface. And this is our nation going through the upheavals it's going through. Just these emotional, like things just like explode and they come back down and they go out and they come back down. It's just, it's mind. It's just amazing. We can see what we can see. Yeah. And then Mars slowly moves into the sign of Leo. So be in Leo for a little while, which is much more understanding because Mars is a planet that rules fire and Leo is a sign that is fire. So the vibe of this is much better, much different because the vibe of Mars in Leo is about action in what we're passionate about and what we desire, that flair. And when Mars is retrograde in that sign, I'll give you all these dates in a minute or through this video. When Mars is in that sign of Leo, that's what it's asking us to do. It wants us to focus on expressing ourselves. That's a way we can get our passion out, right? Externalize that inner passion and bring that out. And, create from the heart. Yeah, be passionate, create from the heart. But when Mars is retrograde in Leo, we may have to slow that down because we get so enthusiastic about creating and what we're passionate about that desire can just feel very uncomfortable and it can feel very egoic and we may be doing things for the wrong reason, right? What does that mean? Where did that come from? That came from Leo because Leo loves to have attention, be the center of attention, be in leadership roles. Not every Leo, you don't have to agree with that 100%, but when Mars is moving through this sign, we're going to see people who are like that, right? So when Mars is retrograde in this sign, it's encouraging us to ask ourselves, am I being authentic? Am I pursuing the things I truly am passionate about, or is it just to get attention or just to get the admiration I'm looking for? I know this is Leo. This is the dysfunction, a piece of the dysfunction of Leo. It's going to express itself one way or another, or even a few different ways. And that's just one of the ways, right? It's not a judgment, but it's also about being creative and getting behind those things that you're passionate about. So during the retrograde, while it's in Leo, we have that period of questioning if we're doing things for the right reason, taking chances, and really lining with that, aligning is what I should say with that. Yeah, and Leo, I really don't want to miss this piece because Leo is really about taking risks of the heart and what we desire. It's not just what we're passionate about. If we want to create art, passionate about creating work projects, it's also that sense of self-worth and pride and taking those risks of the heart. So it has to do with those relationships that we have that are passionate or really deep, right? And so while it is retrograde, it gives us this period, this opportunity to do some deeper self-awareness and give us a chance to reconnect to our inner selves, where we feel strong, where we feel powerful, where we know what we're passionate about. I think this is a wonderful opportunity while it's retrograde in that Cancer, so we can emotionally connect with what's important and how we want to address what we're passionate about, whether it's something that we create, a project, a work project, something you desire for home, for family, or a relationship. All of those things can come into play because what drives us is different. Each one of us has different things. But once it goes direct, all the work that we do while it's retrograde from December 6, 2024, through February 23rd, 2025, we have this opportunity to start to move forward. So what I'm going to do next is give you some dates. Let's share my screen is what I need to do. There we are. And we're going to start talking about these dates. Okay. Just so you can see the charts. I've just got up the planets I'm talking about. And when we have planets that retrograde, there are times when it will make 3 connections to other planets. So these are the only other planets, I'm going to talk about them momentarily, that Mars, while it's in from 17 degrees of Cancer to 6 degrees of Leo, and then retrograde right smack in the middle of that time period, it makes 3 hits to each of these planets that are up here. And this is Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Look how they're all sextile and trine. They're all connecting with each other. And Mars is going to come in and make some connections. And it'll make 3 connections. And we want to focus on those dates. And of course, I'll talk about that as we move into other things, as we move along in the year. So this is the day and the moment that it is in shadow. Pay attention to that. Make notes and start really honing in as to what is important and what energies are you focusing on and paying attention to. What does that mean? You know what that means. Let's go to the next chart. I'll just show you the next chart. On October 24th, we have Mars sextile Uranus. Here it is. It is making connections to the other ones, but not exact. So we'll talk about that as we get to them. This aspect happens 3 times. So it's, and I'll tell you what it means. So it's October 24th, 2024. It will be January 23rd, 2025. That's the retrograde period. And then it will be April 4th, 2025. Now, let me make sure that I am still sharing the screen that I want to share. Yes, I am. Good. Sometimes I can't tell if it's still sharing. All right. So this first aspect of Mars sextile Uranus. Now, this Mars in Cancer, sextile Uranus and Taurus, both of those zodiac signs are feminine. And that means they're receptive. Easy aspect with the sextile, super easy. So we may come up with, this is before the retrograde, October 24th, bursts of innovation, lots of excitement, sudden changes. Of course, Uranus, the changes, the freedom, the rebellion, the aspects to be spontaneous. So Mars in Cancer, that emotion, but we get to break away from old routines and old patterns, giving us exciting new opportunities. So I want you to focus on that. So see where this is going on in your chart. That's a real important thing for you to know, is like where 17 degrees of Cancer is all the way to 6 degrees of Leo. That's going to be an important thing. So as Mars and Uranus make that sextile 3 times, then we have that opportunity for us to find ways and to be open for inspiration. Okay. That's what I want you to do, because there's 3 aspects that we'll talk about. The next thing that we have here is on the 28th of October, the exact aspect between Mars and Neptune. So they're both at 27 degrees and 34 minutes. This is a trine, a water trine. Okay. Let me double check, make sure. Sometimes I have to make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Yes, I am. So we have that going on there. So what does that bring? So first off, water trine. So that gives us that that emotional connection. But so much water, sometimes we can feel like we're underwater. It feels like we're over emotional. Feels like we can't figure things out. We can't get in alignment. It's hard to see where we're grounded. That's a hard piece of what this aspect is. And that first aspect is October 29th. The second aspect is, while it's retrograde, will be January 10th, 2025. And the third aspect will be April 13th, 2025. Okay, so Mars trine Neptune, it feels harmonious in a lot of ways. It's very soft, smooths over those hard edges of what Mars can be, because there's so much water here. Mars is not aggressive anymore. It's not. So, but we're going to be able to blend the drive that we have, whatever drive we have left, with our imagination. This is the best way to use this Mars in Cancer trine Neptune, the drive with our imagination, with compassion, with spirituality. So those things that you're focusing on, you're able to take some action there. You don't ever want to be, I never want to be overly aggressive in any of those things. I mean, how can you be aggressively compassionate? I don't think you can, but you can be aggressive in your practice of these things. So pay attention to that. And this, to me, honestly, there's not too much aggression going on with this Mars to Neptune aspect. So we can feel inspired to take some action, to be creative, and to pursue healing things, and to inspire our imagination. I'm going to say these 3 words again: connect with the things that we're compassionate about and that we want to take action on, right? And any pursuits, spiritual pursuits, healing pursuits that you have. So there is that. To top it all off, work with your intuition, trust your intuition. This is a wonderful period to flow with that, because all of those senses will be heightened. And if you're creative or musical, that's going to explode, but you won't grow so fast that you can't keep up with it, because Mars, with all that water around, is not hot, doesn't burn hot, but you still have the ability to take steps and take action. Yeah, I love that. All right, next is the exact time when Mars is opposite Pluto. This is the only time when they're opposite. It happens 3 times, but they're in the Cancer Capricorn opposition. That's November 3rd. You can see the date and the time in the top left-hand corner if I haven't mentioned it. So Mars opposite Pluto at 29 Cancer Capricorn. And the other 2 times will be January 7, 2025. That will be in Leo and Aquarius. And then April 17th, 2025, Leo and Aquarius. So what does this one mean? Mars opposite Pluto. They are 2 cardinal signs, all right? This one's water and this one's earth. The water and earth energies are compatible because they're both the yin polarity. That means that we have this opportunity to pay attention, to absorb information, Mars being action, but again, still in this water sign, it's not overly aggressive, but it can be emotionally aggressive. So remember, if you're feeling passive aggressive, please recognize that in yourself and just say, all right, I have to not be passive aggressive. What steps can I take to help out? Because when Pluto and Mars are in an opposition like this does bring power struggles to the surface. The oppositions mean we get to see everything that's in front of our face. It's like nothing's hidden. We get to see it, just like a full moon, right? So Pluto digs deep and exposes what's hidden. And when Mars, that planet that wants to take action, but is in a water sign, we can have this face off with Pluto and feel like this emotional manipulation. I don't want us to clash like that. That's force, that's manipulation, that's power, that's control. Doesn't have to be that way. But if you do have some inner battles that are coming to the surface, please do the work to move through this. It's a wonderful opportunity. As Pluto is at the very end of Capricorn, we will not see it in Capricorn again. And because it takes 248 years, it will be done on the 19th of November. So that just tells us that this aspect here, basically this last planetary connection to Pluto before it moves out of Capricorn for good, you're going to know what your structure and your foundation is. You're going to know where you have power, where you have control, where you have the strength, and where we're going to build from there. This is intense, transformative energy that's teaching us how to let go of those power plays that do not serve us. Those are the three aspects that we have. And I will show you the charts of them when we get to it. But here is the day that Mars goes retrograde. It's December 6th, 2024. It's at 6:33 p.m. Eastern time. We're in standard time by then. And it's here we are, 6 degrees and 10 minutes. The stationary days are the toughest. So I'm going to give it a couple days before. So a couple days before and after December 6th, we could feel frustrated. We could feel stressed. We could feel like nothing, like nothing is moving forward. Everything is uncomfortable and just not working. It's a stressful day. Here's January 3rd. This is the second time that Pluto and Mars are in opposition. This time they're both in fixed signs. This feels uncomfortable. This is January 3rd, 2025. This is uncomfortable because they're both fixed and neither one wants to give. But Pluto has the strength because it's the slower planet. So it has the strength. But Mars moving through there just like that, really fast and quick, January 7th. It won't be back till April. So this connection is, even though these are fixed signs, something can give, something can shift from this first aspect, which was on November 3rd. Okay. Something can shift. Keep an eye out for things shifting. Keep an eye out for the moment that you might have to surrender, or somebody else surrenders and you get what you need or what you've been working towards or fighting for. Yeah. Here is the second date that Neptune and Mars are in a trine. That's January 12th. I already talked about that, so you just take your notes. I just want you to see the charts. I'll go through these quickly. Here is the second time that Mars sextiles Uranus on January 23rd. They're at 23 degrees. They're both retrograde. This is a lot of internalizing of stress and energy. Super huge amount of internalizing. There's very little that gets out in this. So if you have stuff that you need to move, go to the gym, do movement, exercise, things that move energy for you, whatever you know that is for you. I want to make sure I'm sharing the screens. Yes, I am. Sometimes I don't know if I go from chart to chart if it continues to share. Here is the day that Mars moves direct. It's not making any connections to any planets. Even this Neptune and Pluto aren't sextile because they're not in the right signs to be sextile. Needless to say, Mars direct approximately 9 p.m. on February 23rd. So that's that 17 degrees of Cancer that we talked about when I looked at October 5th. Same. Don't worry about the location of these things. We're all in different places in the planet. So don't worry about what house it's in on the screen. You absolutely want to know where you have 17 degrees of Cancer and if that is impacting anything in your chart, just as much as you need to know where that 6 degrees of Leo is in your chart. You need to know where that sector is. It could be, I don't use whole sign houses, so you're going to need to, it's not as easy when you don't use whole sign houses. But I started with Placidus. Whole sign houses did become popular until just about 10 years ago. All right. The third time Mars makes the sextile to Uranus is April 4th. So we've jumped from February when it's stationary, and now we're on to, we've missed all of March, and now we're into April. Because in March, Mars is moving forward because it's direct now, but it's still not making any connections like it did in the beginning. And here we are, Mars sextile Uranus for the third and last time. And they're both direct, so they both get to tidy up whatever we were messing with and working on the first two times that they were together, which was October 24th, 2024, and January 23rd, 2025. The third connection between Mars and Neptune, that trine is April 19th. There's that date. And there they are. Whoa, Aries. Fire trine. I did not know that was that one. I didn't look at it directly until right now. So, this is when Neptune's in Aries. I am going to do the year ahead. That's a separate purchase. I will get that I'll get that going really soon. 'Cause today is October 7th. So I'll get that done before the end of the month and get that out there for marketing. Here we are. This is one of the big things for next year is when Neptune enters Aries, so it's just gonna, boy, this is as uncomfortable as Saturn in Pisces, if you ask me. It just means that a lot of action to be taken, a lot of action steps. And Mars making that trine aspect from fire. This is a really good opportunity for some creative self-expression and just to get some things moving that you're passionate about, especially if you are launching, a website or a project or a spiritual business because of the Neptune effect here. All right. Apparently my landlord is vacuuming in the hallway. I don't know if you can hear it. Mars is opposite Pluto for the last time. That's at 3 degrees. You definitely want to see where you have 0 to 3 or 4 degrees of Aquarius in your chart too, because that's really super active. And when they're together like this, again, still fixed signs, but not that 0 degree, this gives us a chance to actually take some more action. So late April, second half of April looks super active for action. We don't know what else is happening in here. So I only have these aspects up now. So, and then here it is, Mars is finally out of shadow on May 2nd. Early in the morning. So the late night, May 1st, early morning, May 2nd, Mars is out of its shadow. So those are the charts that we're looking at. Now, let me see if I think I have anything else I want to talk about with these things. Looking at my notes. Yeah. So how long is that? So October 5th to May 2nd. That's about 30 weeks from start to finish. And I know this is a lot to take in, and I know it's hard to understand all of this coming at you like, whew, it's always a lot coming at us. But one of the best things to do, you're welcome to reach out to me and figure out where this is for you. It really wouldn't be a bad idea to figure out where it is for you. Let's see if I can get these charts up. I'm going to turn this off. Oh, there's my notes. Hey, you get to see my desktop. All kinds of fun stuff. Here, this is what we're looking at right now. And let me just put all the planets back in because I want you to, there's the sun and the moon and Mercury and Venus and Jupiter and Saturn. And that's the nodes and that's good for today. So I want you just to look at your chart. And if you know how to do this, if you don't worry. Just listen to the forecasting that we just said and just know we're all working that in one way or another. But what we want to look at, like for example, this chart, I will mark it out. 17 degrees of Cancer is approximately there. Just give me some leeway. I'm just drawing it with my finger. And 6 degrees of Leo is approximately there. So as Mars is moving through the sky over the next, how many months? 30 weeks. That's like 7 months or so. It will be here. It will go all the way to here. It will retrograde. And then it will come all the way back. And that's where it stops at 17. I know that says 18, but it stops at 17. And then it comes forward again. So that zigzag motion, doink, from here to here. This is October 5th. This is May 2nd. So that's what that retrograde is. And that's where it would be like if this was somebody's birth chart. It would be in the 5th house and the 6th house for that person, so that just happens to be, what it would be. And if I was to animate this and just make it big, I can just go back a couple hours and to when it was 17. Let's go back, right? And here, for example, if this is somebody's chart, let's go find where 17 Cancer is. It's right here. All the way to 6 Leo. Oh, right there. That's all in the 12th house. So you have to find that in your own chart, right? You got to figure out where that is. They go this way. Okay. The numbers go that way. The planets go that way. The way they move. All right. I'm going to stop there. I don't want to do astronomy today. All right, guys. That's the forecast. The written forecast is much more organized written. My brain is always all over the place when I talk. It's on my website. Please get on my newsletter email list. And Patreon, you get this first. Blessings, everybody. I find my stop. Namaste.